Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you in another video. All right, so took a couple seconds away from all that basketball talk. I found myself getting burnt out. Talked for 18 minutes, listened back to it. I'm like, man, that was the worst rant I ever had. So let me just take a couple hours away from this thing and come back and reconvene after I finish doing something else with my brain. So that's what I did, you guys. I took a couple seconds off and I'm back here to share with you guys. I guess not really news, but just more talking, more than anything. I'm hearing all kinds of stuff, and honestly, I'm not surprised by anything I'm hearing. Austin Reeves is being asked for in any Brooklyn Lakers trade conversations. That's the latest. Not surprised. Ticket TV just dropped a video. As I always tell you guys, feel free to check him out because I get a lot of stuff from him. He just dropped a video with some real serious allegations about Stephen A. Smith colluding with Sean Marks behind the scenes and how that basically deteriorated KD and Kyrie's point of view on the Nets because they felt like they had funneled information to Stephen A. throughout the year during the COVID situation, and that was just completely and utterly unethical in their minds. I mean, I don't have anything to hang my hat on. I'm just a consumer as it pertains to listening to, this kind of stuff. So, in a way, I feel like I'm in the locker room and I don't feel comfortable about it. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I feel personally. It's one of those situations where it's just like you when you inside of somebody's brotherhood or whatever, you getting information that probably ain't none of your business, but it would help you understand things better. That's kind of how I feel. But honestly, that's of no consequence, man. That's of no consequence because at the end of the day, if all of this, well, it is of definite consequence, but as it pertains to these players getting where they're going, as far as what I'm hearing, well, there's more information, I guess. What is of no consequence is further information that I haven't said yet. Let me keep going. So Stephen A. Smith, I guess according to Ticket TV, is going behind the scenes trying to keep the Lakers from getting KD and Kyrie because I guess from behind the scenes they're trying to force their way to the Lakers. Allegedly, the Suns and the Heat were smoke screens, as in teams that they had no intention of actually. KD had no intention of actually going to these two teams, and if you look at the two teams, they're actually the number one seeds in both conferences. So, according to Ticket, he believes that's them. That's KD trolling, essentially saying y'all was laughing at me for leaving the OKC number one seed to go to Golden State number one seed. So I'm going to request both number one seeds in both conferences, even though I actually have no intention of going to those places, which makes sense in a way as it pertains to those places being dead ends, because if you do the math, the Heat situation, obviously, Bam, no deal is going to get done without Bam. And if you request a trade and you look at the numbers, you know that. And, of course, he can't play there because of Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons will be hard to move, so that's pretty much going to be out unless Miami tries to give up something other than what the Nets would probably want. And then the Suns, that situation, as I said, anybody who knows what's going on with the Suns has questions about their situation because Ayton, they didn't have Ayton's money. It's just a little questionable. And if I'm looking at the tea leaves and I'm KD, maybe I want to play with Booker. Maybe I want to play with Chris Paul for sure. So that might make me want to go play in Phoenix. That's reasonable. But also, if I'm paying attention to what's going on there and I'm leaving my situation with uncertainty, I'm not going to go into a situation that has questions. In theory, as a Laker fan, I have questions about what it is I just said based on the fact that we have questions, and he may be trying to force his way here. But this seems a little more stable as it pertains to the fact that LeBron James is here, and we got 17 Mammers, won the championship 2 years ago, that kind of thing. So I would imagine that would be seen as a bit more stable. But nevertheless, there are questions in both of those situations, if I'm being real. So, nevertheless, this is what we have as information to hang our hat on, tea leaves, as I like to say. And to be honest with you, I don't really know what to say as of yet. With all of that information coming out, it's all alleged. I feel like there's more to know to help it all make sense even more so. But what's of no consequence is this. If Stephen A's behind the scenes trying to keep the Lakers from getting KD and Kyrie, I don't think it's going to work. That's what's of no consequence. That is of no consequence because I think this is going to be bigger than just simply the Nets and what they choose to do. This is an opportunity for the league to get an influx of money that would probably make up for some of the losses that took place in the pandemic, as I've said many times. So if you didn't think of putting KD and Kyrie together, these two players, well, on the Lakers, these two players come together and propose this to you. If I'm Adam Silver, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board with this too. You feel me? So I'm like, at the end of the day, my speculation always made sense to me and still does. If the NBA wants to capitalize on LeBron James and Kevin Durant, the right way, the best thing to do is to pair them together and have them go out on top. Because this is the era of the friendship coming to an end. Because we know the John Morant guys, this new generation, it's over for that. They don't want to be buddy-buddy necessarily. That's not who they are. But LeBron's generation, that was the friendship generation. And so to tip it all off, to give it a farewell toast, the two best players from the friendship generation should finish their careers together. It's only right. It's poetic justice. And where else better than the Los Angeles Lakers, where the best duos and the best trios have always found themselves winning. The best way forward, I think, is with the Lakers because of that. And so that's just me looking at situations as a fan. Obviously, I'm a Laker fan, so I'm kind of biased to say the least. But at the same time, even if I weren't biased, I'd still see the fruit in doing this. Because it's like the highest possible combination of revenue forces the NBA has to offer. I mean, you're talking about the only thing left to do is bring Steph Curry to the situation. And voila, you got a jambalaya of impossible, record-breaking possibilities. So I think when you consider KD and LeBron James alone, that was impossible. That's something that you never thought were possible. And the fact of the matter is, these two players are still playing at a level to which, if you put them together, it's very reasonable to think they're going to contend. Very reasonable to think that. And if I look at the Laker roster, I say, well, shoot, KD is kind of what we're missing. You look at all the bigs we just picked up, the defensive bigs and things like that. We just need shot making and scoring. KD and Kyrie are the perfect pieces to slip into what it is that we do and continue with LeBron James, who's obviously looking to win now, every now. So as long as you attach to him, you're not only expected to win, but it's a good chance you'll do so. And judging by the field and looking at the teams out here, as I've said many times, KD can go to a team where, he's going to deplete half the roster or deplete their future just to land there. But to be honest with you, he's just going to get ousted if he don't have some super players next to him to help him beat the field. Memphis is going to knock off whatever team he go to. Boston's going to knock off whatever team he go to. I mean, this is just facts. Because the reality is, if he doesn't go to the right spot, he ain't going to have enough. He's going to be the reason they don't have enough. Because he's going to require such a massive haul. Unless Brooklyn and the Lakers do a deal that matches up perfectly with the numbers, if they just let go of Kyrie and let go of KD like they're supposed to, and take back Russell Westbrook's contract and Anthony Davis's massive price tag that we paid for, so we would expect to get a haul that's massive. And guess who has a massive price tag too? The other guy, KD. Imagine that. So whatever super duper price tag you putting on him, we gonna put on AD too. And it should cancel itself out. Whatever 7, 8, 9 picks, we're going to put that on AD when next time we trade him. So guess what? All we got to do is just do this straight up. Just like that. Because you ain't going to lowball me for my Pantheon great, and I ain't about to lowball you for yours. And you know how much they mean to each franchise, so we don't take this lightly. You ain't about to take no picks from us sending us KD, and we ain't going to take no picks for you sending you AD. And that's why this trade needs to happen, because ain't no leverage above that. Yeah, you can say KD is better than AD, but the age is going to balance that out. The Achilles injury is going to balance that out. AD's championship is worthy of notching him up, even though KD has 2 of them. You still got to understand he's a champion now. He ain't just a Pantheon great who ain't playing well. He's an NBA champion who ain't playing well necessarily. You know what I'm saying? These are the type of things you got to take into account when you put a price tag on players like this. So that's important. And as I speculated earlier in the video that I did not keep, I brought up a good point in that video, even though it wasn't executed properly. But I think, as Ticket TV confirmed, I really do believe that KD, Kyrie, they're in a space right now where they would love to play in a good market. They want to put themselves in a position to maximize their dollars. They want to put themselves in a position to get back at any and all people who want to get, who want to disrespect them or put their names in situations that aren't right. And ultimately, the best opportunity, I think, for them to do that is to stay together and make it work somewhere else. Because if they stay together and try to make it work from Brooklyn, it's just not enough. But if they stay together and move somewhere else, can't nobody say, oh, you left KD, oh, you left Kyrie, oh, they failed, they couldn't make it work, oh, they flamed out because Kyrie wasn't good enough, all these stupid narratives that are going to be attached to them for the rest of their careers. And none of that got to end the way you guys wanted to if they just come together, join the king, and ride the wave on. Because nobody's bigger than the program here. Even the king ain't bigger than the program here. So once you get to a point where you start wondering whose egos is what, they all gonna have to bow to the understanding that there's guys in the rafters that they pale in comparison to when they put on their uniform here. So it ain't gonna be no, oh, it's my organization or it's my organization. Nah, this is the Lakers. None of you guys are gonna be the greatest Laker ever. So it should cancel out the ego nonsense. And that's another reason why I think this is the perfect locale to do it. Because if they came together and say Orlando, now they're gonna be fighting to see who's the greatest Orlando Magic of all time. And I'm sorry, that is just not gonna be a problem here. It's just not. So I think that's another reason why to do it. Neutral place to play. So it's one of those situations where I look at it, hey man, if these guys ultimately do want to play with one another, if KD ultimately does want to find himself in a winning situation, I don't think there's a better way to secure that. Not based on the tea leaves, because if you go to Toronto, you have a 4-year deal. See, this is the problem with KD. You have a 4-year deal. So you're going to be traded to a place where you're going to deplete them of more than 6 years worth of picks. So every year you're going to be there. They're not going to have no picks. They're not going to have the assets to do things to maneuver around you, which is another reason why he needs to be very careful about where he lands. Because not only are you going to be depleting them of pieces, but you're also going to be depleting them of the flexibility that was allow them to maybe even move certain things and make your team better. So it's if he had an out, like let's say he could opt out of his contract next year or the year after that, then if something goes wrong, obviously he's free. But in this situation, if something goes wrong, he's going through this process again. And so that's a little more than necessary, to say the least, especially the more you switch teams, the less value you have overall in this league, even for Pantheon greats like him. So you don't want to get to a point where you start saturating your value just because you keep forcing your way out of places. So that's something that KD, you don't want to even go down that path of. So I think with the Lakers, you can guarantee that you're going to compete for championships. Now, granted, if a better package comes along, needless to say, it's one of those situations where the Lakers are not above trading nobody. But that's something you also sign up for, understanding that this organization is going to, just like every organization, do what's best in its own interest. So that's to be understood. But I really respect what Ticket was saying in regards to the Lakers. They don't want AD to feel like he's being shopped. You know what I mean? It's like it's an important balance to try to have when you're an organization, to try to respect the players you have in place, but to also leave yourself in the ready position for any good deals that may come your way. So a guy like Anthony Davis would never ever be shopped in normal circumstances, but in this particular case, when you're weighing two price tags of two really, really, really elite talents, the tiers even up there are different. You know what I mean? They really are different tiers. And as it pertains to KD and AD, KD has always had himself above AD just off his merits in his game in this league. You know what I mean? So it's one of those situations where I feel like the Lakers are just automatically going to look at that as a win. Any GM is going to automatically look at that as a win, acquiring that piece, regardless of what you give up for him. And so that's what AD's running into. I know this is uncomfortable, but I don't think anything short of KD would make the Lakers consider trading AD. It has to be that type of price tag. It's not like they're shopping him, you know what I mean? It's just one of those situations where, you know what I mean? I don't know what else to say. I don't like the position that this puts players in and organizations in when you have to move players around. You know what I mean? I was listening to KG. He called out AD, told him he felt like AD needs to step up. I read into that a certain way because KG is a Brooklyn player. Even though he obviously played for the Celtics, obviously played for the Wolves, he a Brooklyn player. So I read into that a certain kind of way. Him challenging AD. Yeah, I looked into that. I just feel like it's probably imminent. You know what I mean? I've been saying that for days. I never thought for 1 second that once it became possible for KD and Kyrie to both continue to play together in LA, I never thought that there would ever be another thing for them to dream about as basketball players. Like, I know KD is not a Laker guy. I know that. I've been listening to him for a long time. That's not his thing. He's not a Laker guy, and he's not a LeBron guy. So if he lands here, it will be kind of a shock even after all this. But the opportunity to continue to play with his boy and to shut up people like Stephen A., that might be worth it to even do something like this, even if it ain't your style. That might be worth it to put on purple and gold if you're like KD, if you feel like him. You know? And the chance to beat Golden State, you know, put on a Laker uniform and go get them, because that's what's really going to help his legacy. If he can knock them off, keep them from getting another championship, you know, that's a big deal. So it's a lot of different things for KD to consider when considering what to put on next season. You know, obviously he has his options for sure, but like I said, if he goes to the wrong spot, he's just going to fall apart there with a poor roster. They're gonna ask him to score 50 every night, and he saw how it was when he didn't have enough. He just went through that. So that's why I think that's why it's important he get to a spot he's going to contend right now. And so there is another spot, and it's been floated around, and I wouldn't be responsible if I didn't mention it. But the Pelicans are on the board that they can give him a win now opportunity while still leaving the team, you know, that he's traded from, the Brooklyn Nets, with plenty to work with. And that centerpieces are centered around Brandon Ingram. Now, I personally had KD on my list as a player to go to the Pelicans because I wanted to pair him with Brandon Ingram. But the Brooklyn Nets seem to have their heads on straight as it pertains to that, so they're going to ask for Brandon Ingram like I would as well. So that stands to the reason why I wouldn't do a deal if I'm Sean Marks. If it didn't involve B.I., I probably wouldn't get the deal done. But, you know, it's either B.I. or Zion, and I know they ain't going to give me Zion because they just signed him. So, plus that fit is horrible with Ben Simmons. So, looking at that situation, I don't know. If I'm the Pelicans, I probably actually don't do that. Because I don't look at, if I look at the next 4 years of KD as he ages or B.I. as he goes into his mid-20s, come on, man. Nah, you got to go with B.I. over the next 4 years. You have to do that. You got to play the age game in that situation. Even though KD is obviously the greater talent, you can't consider that. You got to go with the body in that situation. He's younger, and they pretty much have the same length and body strengths and weaknesses. And it's not like BI's a project. He's made an all-star team. He's a playoff performer now. So you would just be giving away a younger KD. That's just stupid. So I don't think the Pelicans to do that. But you never know. Like I said, when you're a GM, it's all about landing the biggest name. So for David Griffin, that's a super win. Trade BI, bring in KD. Doesn't matter if he's a better player. That's a win for David Griffin. So that's why owners got to be careful in situations like that. You got to kind of know what time it is, because a GM going to do what's best for him in a lot of cases. Because at the end of the day, if he leaves your spot, he's got to take that resume somewhere else. So having KD on there as a trade piece, in the books is definitely going to help that. So that's something I wouldn't do if I'm the Pelicans. Nah, not unless they sweeten the pot. I'm not giving you BI for KD. I'm putting them together, period. And I'm not giving you Zion, so you better figure something else out. That's what I would say if I'm the Pelicans. And see, that's the thing. Like, maybe they don't say that, but I think they're going to run into that more than not. As to which, the Nets have already said they want a young player. I'm like, I don't think anybody wants to give up their young players. KD, everybody respects KD, but if I'm giving up a Jason Tatum or a Brandon Ingram, what is that really doing for me? Like, what is that? What actually am I bringing in? Yeah, I'm going to ask KD to do a lot, but that's a lateral move. If you're looking at it just as it is, moving BI out and then bringing in Brandon Ingram, it's lateral at this point, you guys. It really is. So here we go. Moving on from there. Go up to Toronto, where they're going to deplete themselves of all 7 of their picks and OG Anunoby and a couple pieces. Send them up there to play with Chris Boucher and second-year Scotty Barnes, Fred VanVleet. They can do damage. Pascal Siakam, depending on what you give up. Obviously, you got to give up something, but he can do some damage. Are they going to beat that Boston team? No. Are they going to beat Giannis? No. See what I'm saying? That's not going to work. I hear Joel Embiid is trying to get KD. I don't know how true that is. But it stands to reason if they can upgrade to KD somehow, that would be obviously something you want to do. Maybe you could turn Tobias Harris into him with a bunch of picks. James Harden, I would turn James Harden into him. I know that'd be kind of controversial since James Harden is taking a pay cut to help your team, but this is KD, man. Jesus. I think it's a no-brainer if you can do that if you're the Philadelphia 76ers. That would undoubtedly guarantee you a championship next year. You put KD and Joel together, and that too might be enough in terms of what other place besides the Lakers can he win and they still do the trade and not be horrible. That might be a spot. If they're able to keep Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, of course, would not be moving, that could be a good spot for KD. That's a trio that I think I can win with if I retool properly. Doc Rivers, probably win with if I retool properly. But, it's one of those situations where do I trust him to retool properly? How much do they have left? They already had bench issues last year. I don't know. But I definitely love the trio. I can win with the trio for sure. So, KD has his options. I don't know if he wants to go to Philly. But, when I'm considering and weighing what I want to do in the short term, at the end of the day, Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, I believe I can win with them. But have they proven they can win? Nah. So KD's going to have to go up there and lead them to that. Maybe he's up for it. Maybe that's good for his legacy. I don't know. That's up to him. But in my mind, that pulls you away from Kyrie and has you in a question mark situation that's possibly depleted. Playing for an organization that's probably going to get tired of nonsense. Not to say that KD brings any, but they start losing, they start booing. You know how that goes. So, I don't know. Philadelphia might not be the energy. Plus, LA sunshine, man. It is what it is. If you have that on the table and you're talking about Philly, I like cheesesteaks as much as the next person, but it's real nice out here, y'all. I'm not going to lie to you. So, I think KD's going to pick the sunshine over that every time. So, man, I'm telling you, it's not really out of the question that this amazing monstrosity of a trade takes place, I think it's actually something that you think you can pretty much think is reasonable. I mean, like I said, the Lakers do not have the best package for KD. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to nobody about that. But if they're a package deal, him and Kyrie, and you look at the field and it's gonna be depleted by any trade, which will make him unhappy within a year and a half, why would I trade for him if I'm any of these owners? They're gonna do it, but it's gonna be unwise because he's gonna want out. So, and he's probably gonna want to force his way. Guess where? The Lakers. Because if a player has their mind set on something, especially players of that caliber, they're gonna find their way where they want to go. And if the Ticket TV's reports are accurate, the man wants to be a Laker, just like his boy Kyrie. So, I don't know what that means for Anthony Davis. Well, I know exactly what that means for Anthony Davis, but as it pertains to where he lands, will it be Brooklyn? Will they find a different spot for him? Will this even happen? I don't know. But if I'm Anthony Davis, I'm definitely preparing myself for something like this. I am. And I'm sure he is, because this is real. It just is, man. And I know the Lakers don't want to disrespect him, you know. I'm sure they'll do everything they can to deny the hell out of this. And that's the only thing they can do as an organization, because you have to try to get Kevin Durant. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.